Welcome to the Virtual Catechist podcast. Today, in our God from Scratch section, we are going to tackle a fundamental question. Does God exist? Some folks reckon that if God does exist, He's far from us. But today, we are going to delve into how God's existence has a significant impact on our lives and beliefs. We want to walk with you on your quest for something genuine. You're yearning to understand the idea of a creator and how God can play a pivotal role in your life, whether you believe in Him or not. To believe or not to believe in God is the foundation upon which we build our lives. It's something worth pondering, even if you've never given it a thought before. Tell me what God you think exists, and I'll tell you who you'll become. Take a moment to reflect. Whatever you believe governs the universe, that's what will guide your life. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, we invite you to do so and join us on this journey of discovery with Virtual Catechist. To kick things off, let's start with a fundamental question. Is there anything real and true in the world? Throughout the centuries, philosophers, scientists, and folks like you and me have asked this question. Take a moment to reflect. Why do we have this yearning to know? Why are we wired to seek something solid and true? When we seek the truth, we're actually seeking its creator. We're looking for guidance to understand life, because something within us tells us it exists. And when it seems like we've found some answers, more questions arise, and we turn to the Creator for answers. In an attempt to quell this instinct that there's something more, we sometimes turn things that fascinate us, like science or nature, into gods. These gods are appealing because they can be seen and touched, but they aren't alive to answer our questions about the truth. Why are we here? What's our purpose? The answers to these questions can be provided by God. If God exists, we can find purpose and meaning in our actions because we are creatures created with a plan. If God exists, we have a guide for our life and a higher being who explains it to us. There is a truth. We can know what's right and what's wrong. On the other hand, if God doesn't exist, there's no defined truth. Man creates it as he goes along. There's no certainty about how we should live. We depend on ideologies, trends, and current cultural tendencies. Believing in God is not a simple opinion, but it defines our being. It's the core of our beliefs that gives purpose and meaning to our actions. And it allows us to reach further. By finding a purpose and meaning for our existence, we find reasons to face challenges and overcome obstacles in our path. Since the dawn of humanity, the belief in a higher being has accompanied man on his journey across this planet. Throughout history, man has tried to soothe his instinct to seek explanations by creating numerous ideologies and philosophies, but none compare to the existence of God. History shows us that the majority religions throughout the centuries are those that believe in one God, not several. In recent centuries, movements have emerged in the West where man has decided to reject this divine intuition. What promised to free us from the supposed idea of God and achieve full realization in civilization has materialized in the worst era of dehumanization, death, and conflicts. By denying God, we move away from the existence of an absolute truth, as there is no possible creator of it. This creates a chasm in our connection with the divine and a void in our search for purpose and meaning. We live in a world where technology and science are advancing rapidly, but at the same time, we've lost touch with our spiritual roots and the guidance that God can provide. Humans possess more and more knowledge about the environment, but understand less and less the purpose of their existence. We are capable of developing artificial intelligence, but incapable of managing our emotional intelligence. Perhaps we are the generation most disconnected from what gives a deep sense to life. The one with the most knowledge, but the least wisdom. We could say that we're getting to know more pieces of the puzzle that is the universe, an infinite puzzle in which all the pieces fit perfectly, like cells, atoms, planets, and ecosystems. However, in knowing the puzzle, today's man stops asking who designed it. He considers himself the owner, forgetting its possible origin, and maintains that the universe fit together by pure chance. Louis Pasteur claimed, "A little science takes us away from God, a lot brings us closer." We can't dismiss God by discovering only a small part of creation. Knowing just a few pieces, man believes himself to be the master and lord of the entire puzzle. By knowing how to fit 3 pieces, he feels he has the authority to decide on the design of everything else. Science can help us understand how the universe works, but it can't answer fundamental questions about the purpose and meaning of life. Scientific knowledge and faith are not contradictory. They can coexist and enrich our understanding of the world. By denying the existence of God, man places himself as the owner of the universe and decides, from that moment, what is good or bad. Man, ignoring God, begins to build an instruction manual from scratch as he discovers things. Without God, life loses all transcendence. Man becomes the only reference for deciding what to do. And the question arises, which man decides? Because there are many, and they all think differently. Upon reaching this point, as happens in all societies where God has been hidden, the law of the strongest begins. Life transforms into a competition for survival and an accumulation of resources. By eliminating God, life after death disappears and we detach ourselves from a moral instruction manual, leaving man orphaned in a world where he must fight for life. Life, which was once a gift, now becomes something to be achieved. But if God is as necessary as we've seen, why don't we believe in Him? Believing in God is not a trivial matter. It always stirs passions. It's impossible to delve deep and remain neutral about the existence or non-existence of God. With all the benefits it offers, what do we gain by renouncing God? The truth is, although God has always been believed in, humans have a certain inner resistance. We don't want to believe in God. Firstly, because knowing God requires effort. If God exists and is different from me, to know Him requires time, dedication, conversation. To believe or not in God without knowing Him is simply to opine about different ideas of God. Another reason is that the existence of God makes us feel inferior. If there's an owner and creator of the universe, it's not us anymore. If there are rules for life, we can't just do whatever we want with it. Believing in God also makes us feel insecure. When the world is confined to what we know, we move in a comfort zone, even if it's illusory. If God exists, there's much more to know, which questions what we know and fills us with uncertainty. That's why a life without God is poor and closed to hope. We can only understand and hope for what we know and experience, limiting our possibilities and our potential. By accepting the existence of a supreme being, we open our lives to a world of infinite possibilities and the hope of a better future, no matter how tough the present may be. It also allows for love and fraternity. If God is the origin of everything, we are all created. We all are part of the project. Everyone is important. If God doesn't exist, the neighbor is competition. Do you understand the importance of God in your life? Are you aware of the place He occupies in your life, in your decisions, and in your day-to-day? Thanks for joining us on this episode of Virtual Catechist. We hope you've enjoyed our exploration of the existence of God and how this belief affects our lives. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family so they can also reflect on this important topic. We'll meet again in the next episode of God from Scratch. Until next time.